Hey everybody, Professor Snart checking in as we get right towards the end of our course and the end of the term. It feels like, I guess to me at least, that the end of the term, it still feels really far away, partly because, it's not December and holiday time yet, but with Thanksgiving and all that other stuff, and of course you've got other courses, that are wrapping up too. The time goes quite quickly, and so for us, we've just gotten through our first essay, and now the remainder of our course is devoted to the final essay. So you'll have received a grade back or a note from me if there was problems with the submission or the file type I couldn't open or whatever. So be sure you check into that. You will have gotten a little link to a video that I do for each person's essay where I kind of walk you through your essay and talk about it. I find it a little more effective than just typing a bunch of text comments that you have to then go hunting for, and it's not, as personable, I guess. I always remind people or emphasize that you've submitted the essay, it's been graded, you've got the feedback, but it's not necessarily the end of the discussion. I'm not going to regrade things clearly, but if you have questions about, like, how do I fix this, or what's the mistake, or what did I do wrong, or whatever, by all means, be in touch with me. The idea really is to get the feedback on this essay and then be able to use that to do a stronger final essay. And the bulk of the points for the class, the course, are built into that final essay. So I'm ambivalent, to say the least, about sort of high stakes testing like that. But I feel like it's a glass half full if you can look at it that way. So yeah, there are a lot of points riding on this final essay, but almost everything we've done has been lead up to that. Even the first essay here is in some ways, I think, a trial run for how to write that final essay effectively. So it's sort of high stakes, but it's not coming out of the blue, and it's not just like, here's a thing that we've never done before. It's all, again, pulling together things that we've done, whether it's aspects of the first essay or little smaller, mini or micro lessons that we've done throughout the other units in the course. Okay, so let's look to our due dates here, see what we've got coming up. It is actually Saturday. I'm in the office grading these to get them back to you. So we've just turned around from this Thursday. We now have Unit 9 where the final essay is assigned, but clearly you're not turning it in yet. You can see where that happens down towards the end of the term, obviously the end of our course. So we have a few pieces, right, to take care of before that. A quick turnaround then for Thursday, November 20th, sort of like an initial sort of brainstorming time about the final essay. We have mandatory virtual conferences, so we'll be connecting. We can connect face-to-face if you're on campus anyway. That's perfectly doable. But otherwise, I have these days set up where we can connect virtually through Skype, through a piece of software called Adobe Connect, if you're not a Skype person. The idea is to share a document with me so I can see a draft of your essay. The more you've got done, the better. The less you've got done, the more we end up talking about sort of bigger ideas, and the less I can help with those sentence level things, works cited things, all of the stuff that is really, obviously going to be important in terms of that final product. So one of the things to think about is that, yes, you're submitting the final essay December 9th, or that's the final date to do that, but you really want to pencil in for yourself, like, let's say, a really substantial draft done by your conference date. So let's look at these units here as we move towards them. So unit number 9 then, obviously the final essay assignment. There's here's a great example. I have embedded, although you don't see it here, a movie version of Death of a Salesman, which is the play, the final reading that we do for the class. I strongly recommend that you watch while you read. I don't want the video to take place of the reading. So if you use Death of a Salesman for your final essay, and most people will, I still expect you to quote from the text, not from the movie version. But it follows the script really closely, And it's kind of nice. It sort of guides you through. And obviously it's a thing that's meant to be seen, not just read on the page. So it makes all the sense in the world to me to actually watch it. It should be showing up here, but I think I've mentioned before how certain browser settings, security settings in browser and Blackboard are now prohibiting certain like external content from showing up. So if you ever see something in my course or other ones for that matter, where it says something like, please watch the video below and there's no video, let me know. And I can walk you through the steps, and I can actually do it on my computer right now. I can't adjust the window I'm videoing here, so I can't show you what it looks like, but I'm using Firefox as my browser, and up in the left-hand corner there's a little shield icon, and that's basically letting me know that the browser is blocking this content. Now you could just use the link to it, but I kind of like having it show up here rather than just, this silly blank space. So I'm going to click. Ta-da, right, a couple clicks is all it takes, but if you don't know how to do that, then you can be looking at a course that seems to have all of these gaps in it, like it promises videos that don't actually show up. So here it is. It runs about 2 hours, so that's what it would take to read the play. Obviously, that's what you need to really be focused on. Now, so you have a good sort of groundwork for doing the Unit 9 assignments, but obviously looking towards that final essay too. So really quickly then, the final assignment, it's 5 to 6 pages, so we're not talking about like a 20-page research paper all of a sudden. It really is the same kind of paper that we wrote for essay number 1, a literary research paper. 3 appropriate secondary sources, same rules apply, no just general websites or unrelated or just sort of like vaguely related things. They all have to be discussions of your primary text. The only big difference for us here is that you're developing your own topic, which is what we spend time in this essay or in this unit and then a couple subsequent ones doing. It's more challenging to get started because I'm not just giving you a set of options to choose from, but it ultimately, I think, produces more meaningful essays because obviously you're developing the idea, so you're sort of taking ownership of it a lot earlier. I strongly suggest doing like a comparison paper. That tends to be really effective. So you take something like, let's say, Death of a Salesman, and then connect it with something, and this is the nice part, is that that thing you connect it to, the other so-called text, doesn't have to be from our course. So we're looking for one thing from our course, but then the other thing could be like a movie you're familiar with, a novel you've read, an episode of a TV show, whatever, a graphic novel, the sky's kind of the limit. So again, you can see that in developing your own topic, we're trying to get a little bit more creative, a little bit broader in terms of the things that we're covering. We're not leaving our course entirely, but you have lots of room to bring your own interests to bear. Even if you're not really a reader, you might, enjoy films, have a favorite TV show, or whatever. So you'll have either 1 or 2 primary texts, like the play and a movie that you compare, for example, and then your 3 secondary sources, probably database stuff, and it's good to talk with me if you end up doing like a film or something like that. How can we find good secondary sources so you don't end up with all of your sources about just the so-called literary text that you're doing? You don't want that imbalance going on. Okay. So you're giving me a tentative topic here in Unit 9, and I stress tentative. We're working really quickly. You still hopefully just, getting the play read and sort of processing in your brain. You're just looking at the assignment now. So this isn't a contract. You're not locked into this as the thing that you must do. But I want you to brainstorm enough that you put something on virtual or digital paper here. One thing that I should say that I'll hopefully remind you of again is that you get credit just for proposing a topic. Getting full credit doesn't mean that your topic is perfect. So I'm not really grading the topic per se. I'm just grading the effort, that brainstorming effort. And again, the reply thing, honestly, it sort of helps to look at other people's ideas because sometimes you're unlikely to take someone else's verbatim, right? That's not what we're doing. But someone else's approach to a couple of different texts then sort of triggers something in your mind. So sometimes, you'll post your topic and then read 2 others and realize that, oh, now I have a really great idea. So your topic changes. So again, you're not locked into this topic, and I'm not really grading the topic per se, just that you've made the effort to post something here. Excuse me. Little reminder about comparison essays, since again, I think that comparative approach, the analyzing 2 primary texts, can be really effective. Okay, so let's quickly look ahead at a couple of our next units then, as I need a coffee break. Okay, so that's Unit 9, proposing a topic, just really getting the ball rolling. Then we have Unit 10, mandatory conferences. Again, you are posting your topic again, so it might change, it might be the same. Hopefully it's getting further refined at this point, but you're also posting some possible sources, so you've done some research at that point. So notice that everything is just walking you towards that final essay. And then the bigger piece here is doing the conference with me. The sign up is set up as a wiki page here. It just means that we can all edit the thing together. We'll use Skype, we'll use Adobe Connect, all the links are here. And if you are on campus, then we can certainly meet face to face. So if I click myself in, you'll see that I have days, times listed. I have the links that you'll need. Again, a reminder that if you do face to face, just make a note of that, so I know who's going to be physically here versus virtually here. And obviously, if these times or days don't work for you, well, yeah, more the times, let's stick to the days, then let me know. So you're not required to take a day off of work or anything crazy to meet, but we need to make an effort to connect. And it's easier to do that right earlier rather than later in terms of figuring out the schedule. So to add your name, you would just edit the wiki content. Obviously, add your name to whatever date or time is open, and then click the submit button up in the right-hand corner. It doesn't show on my screen, but you'll see it when you look at it. Be careful that you don't inadvertently erase or change the wiki in other ways. I, of course, have an editing history of the whole thing, so I can always fix stuff if it goes haywire, but I've never really seen that happen. Most people are pretty careful when they're doing that editing. So then again, we're into Unit 10, and the 2 pieces are your sort of reposting of the topic, whether it's the same or it's different, plus sources this time, but also that chance for us to meet virtually or face-to-face. And the more of your essay you have done here, the better. I can't stress that enough. And then, of course, we get into, and I'm getting way ahead of ourselves at this point, and I'll cut myself off pretty soon here. Into Unit 11, there's some final editing things that you can do, problems to look for, and then, of course, you're submitting your final essay. That's pretty much it. So once we get through Units 9 and 10, that's, pretty much it for our course. You're just submitting that final paper. All right? So if you have questions about anything we've done so far, now is a really good time to ask about that before we get too far moving forward. And of course, if you start having ideas about a final essay idea, be in touch with me right away. You don't want to do a bunch of work and then realize it's not practical. You don't want to sort of fumble around for too long and then all of a sudden you've not really taken advantage of the time here and you're just beginning to put things together by the time the thing is due. Again, that's a recipe for plagiarism where people get nervous, time crunched, the anxiety kicks in, they just make a bad choice, and it's easy for me to find, and the consequences are just not worth it. Alrighty, so that's a long announcement. Hopefully you've stuck with me for the whole thing, and I will talk with everybody soon.